In the bustling heart of London, amidst the hustle and bustle of the city life, a tragic and puzzling story unfolded. A story of a woman whose life ended in solitude and obscurity. Joyce Carol Vincent, a woman who was once vibrant and full of life, died alone in her flat in 2003, only to be discovered 3 years later in 2006. This is the mysterious and heartbreaking tale of Joyce Carol Vincent, a woman loved by many, but ultimately someone no one noticed had disappeared. Today we are going to explore the details of her life, the circumstances surrounding her death, and the lessons we can learn from her story. Joyce Carol Vincent was born on October 19, 1965, in London's Hammersmith district. She was the youngest of 5 sisters, with a father of West Indian descent and a mother who tragically passed away when she was very young. Despite these early hardships, Joyce grew up to be a bright, talented, and beautiful woman. She worked for a prestigious firm, Ernst and Young, until she mysteriously quit in 2001 without explanation. In the years that followed, Joyce seemed to disappear from the social circles she once frequented. It was as though she had vanished from the world, isolated, but no one noticed. She lived in a one-room apartment in public housing, a small, modest flat in a largely anonymous part of London. Her death went unnoticed for over 2 years. Her neighbors didn't know her well, and the faint smell from her flat was easily dismissed as something as mundane as the garbage bins below. It wasn't until January 5th, 2006, when officials arrived to repossess the flat due to unpaid rent, that Joyce's skeletal remains were discovered, still sitting in front of the television that was on, tuned to BBC One. The discovery shocked many. How could a woman as vibrant and full of promise as Joyce Carol Vincent, once surrounded by friends, boyfriends, and family, die alone in a flat for over 2 years? And more importantly, how could no one notice? Carol Morley, a filmmaker who read about Joyce's story, was also disturbed by the mystery of her death that she decided to investigate. Morley's 2011 documentary, Dreams of a Life, follows a journey of uncovering the woman behind the headline. Through interviews with ex-boyfriends, former colleagues, and acquaintances, the documentary seeks to answer the question, how could a person be so invisible in life that her death went unnoticed for so long? One of those interviewed was Martin Lester, a man who had dated Joyce for 3 years. Lister had remained in occasional contact with her until 2002, but like so many others, he had no idea she had passed away. He was shocked when he saw Morley's ad in the paper asking for information about Joyce. He recalled Joyce as a hard worker who had great potential. How could someone like her have ended up in such a tragic situation? Joyce had always been known as a strong, independent woman with a social circle. Yet, she was also someone who moved often and distanced herself from people over time. It was revealed that after leaving Ernst & Young, she spent some time in a shelter for victims of domestic violence. Though she had family, Joyce had become estranged from them in her final years, particularly after entering a toxic relationship. Her isolation, both from her family and from her former colleagues, may have been a contributing factor to the loneliness that eventually engulfed her. As a young black woman living in London, Joyce also dealt with her racial identity in a society where race was often a point of contention. People who knew her described her as strikingly beautiful and charming, yet some admitted that she was never fully comfortable with her identity as a biracial woman. This created an internal struggle that Joyce did not openly discuss, and it may have played a role in her growing sense of isolation. In the documentary, participants recall her romantic relationships. One man, a former lover, spoke of how he remembered Joyce as someone unforgettable, someone who left a lasting impression. But even in her personal life, Joyce faced challenges. Some of the men she dated were possessive and controlling, while others spoke of her trusting nature, which led her to make choices that ultimately hurt her. Ultimately, Joyce's isolation seemed to have deepened in the years leading up to her death. She moved into a small council flat, distancing herself from the people who once loved her. Her friends were left baffled, wondering how the vivacious woman they had once known had become so unreachable. One friend recalled an encounter on the street where Joyce refused to acknowledge her, walking on by with her head down. Quote, "If that's the way you want it," end quote, the friend thought, not knowing it would be their last encounter. The tragic story of Joyce Vincent serves as a sombering reminder of how easy it could be for someone to fall through the cracks, even in a city as bustling as London. It also highlights the dangers of isolation and the importance of checking in with those around us, especially those who may seem fine on the outside but are struggling beneath the surface. If you want to learn more about Joyce's story, be sure to watch Dreams of a Life. The documentary digs deep into her life, revealing both the surface-level details and the hidden emotional truths that many never saw. What do you think happened to Joyce? How could someone with so much potential, beauty, and promise end up alone and forgotten? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you found the story haunting and thought-provoking, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more deep dives into the mysterious true stories. Until next time, take care of yourself and the people around you. You never know what someone might be going through.